मेरा मिशन सिर्फ एक है कि आप स्टडीज को, बायोलॉजी को एंजॉय करो, उससे डरो नहीं। एंड बायोलॉजी शुड गिव यू हैप्पीनेस। Hello, my name is Pradeep and welcome to another video. Now, nature is very smart. Different flowers have adapted differently, जिससे कि pollination can take place. So let us see what are the adaptations that these flowers acquired, जिससे कि they make sure that pollination happens for sure. There are two types of flowers. पहला is Chasmogamous and the other one is Cleistogamous. In Chasmogamous, these are the flowers जिसमें male and the reproductive organ of the flower they are exposed, मतलब कि वो खुले में वो open रहते हैं. जैसा कि you can see at the stigma and the pollen grains they are open and exposed. So these flowers are called as Chasmogamous flowers. So in Chasmogamous flowers there are exposed anthers and stigma. Now Cleistogamous flowers. You must have seen some flowers जो कि पूरी तरीके से open नहीं होते. They remain closed. In fact, बहुत लोग क्या करते हैं? They try to open the flower, देखने को कि what is inside that flower. I mean, if you have that curiosity. तो Cleistogamous flowers में what happens is यहाँ पे as you can see the flower is open. The anthers, the stigma, they are in the open. They are exposed. But यहाँ पे in the Cleistogamous flowers the whole flower is closed. इसके अंदर ही there is the male and the female reproductive organs. जो anthers है और जो stigma है that is present inside this closed flower. अब अगर हम अंदर देखें तो यहाँ पे you will find the anther and the stigma, they are all together. So in Cleistogamous flowers, they do not open at all. They remain closed. Next, the anther and the stigma, they lie close to each other. क्योंकि flower open नहीं है तो they lie close to each other. Then something very important, which is to be noted, which is to be analyzed and thought, that these flowers are invariably autogamous as there is no chance of cross pollination. मतलब कि as ये जो flower है it remains closed, so there is no chance कि जो pollen है from this flower it will move outward and land to the stigma of another flower. There is no chance क्योंकि ये पूरा ही बंद structure है. So इसीलिए it is said that it is autogamous. Autogamous में what happens? The pollen grains they get transferred from the anther to the stigma of the same flower. तो यहाँ पे भी it happens the same. The pollen grain it gets transferred to the stigma of the same flower. So there is no chance of cross pollination. Another thing is in these flowers there is a short seed set. मतलब कि अगर ये flower है Chasmogamous flowers है, these flowers are open. So they need some kind of agents. So I discussed earlier, which I will be telling next. These flowers they need some agents जिससे कि जो pollen grain है they land to the stigma जैसे कि wind. So they need some agent जिससे कि the pollen grain they transfer and lands to the stigma and then pollination will happen. But यहाँ पे in the Cleistogamous flowers there is no need of any type of external agent क्योंकि the whole structure it is closed. तो जो भी होगा इसके अंदर ही होगा. That is why there will be a short seed set. मतलब कि there will be for sure pollination जिससे कि there will be fertilization and finally seed will be formed. Now there is a question which has to be thought out carefully. Which is advantageous to have a Chasmogamous flower or the Cleistogamous flowers in terms of pollination. Think about it and write it in the comments that what do you think. The next question is कि ये जो pollen grains हैं from the anther, how do they get transferred from the anther to the stigma of another flower? How is it done? What is the process? There must be some things जिसकी वजह से pollination would be possible. अब ये things है क्या? Now we will know about this. ये जो चीजें हैं these things they are known as agents of pollination. मतलब कि those things or those agents which are responsible which cause pollination they are the agents of pollination. इनका main function होता है to carry out and facilitate the process of pollination between two flowers. अगर ये agents नहीं होंगे most probably pollination will be very difficult. Now pollination is of two types. Number one it is abiotic and second is biotic. Abiotic agents are those agents which are non-living और biotic agents वो होते हैं which are living or alive. Abiotic agents they are mainly number one wind and number two water. सो एबायोटिक एजेंट्स के अंदर आता है विंड एंड वाटर, जिससे कि there would be pollination. And under biotic agents they are mainly animals, जिसमें कि mainly there are insects. The first abiotic agent of pollination about which we will learn is wind. It is also known as anemophily. In the abiotic agents of pollination, wind is more common क्योंकि there are flowers everywhere. There are flowers everywhere on the surface of earth, that is land पे, underwater, but most plants are on the land. So pollination is commonly done by the wind. जो plants है which are pollinated through wind, उनके जो pollen grains है, they have certain characteristics जिसकी वजह से they are suitable for wind pollination. What are these features? These features or qualities of the pollen grains are: number one, they are lightweight. They are lightweight. Obviously, अगर वो lightweight नहीं होंगे, they will be heavy. तो वो हवा में कैसे fly करेंगे? So that is why the pollen grains, they have to be very light in weight. Next quality of the pollen grains are that they should be non-sticky. They should be non-sticky. जो pollen grains होते हैं इन plants के, they are usually non-sticky. वो ऐसे एक साथ चिपके नहीं होते, वो अलग-अलग होते हैं. So that they can move, they can fly in the wind separately, जिससे कि they land on the stigma of another flower. जैसे there were special characteristics of the pollen grains in plants के जो कि wind pollinated है, वैसे ही there are qualities of the flowers which are involved in wind pollination. So what are these qualities? Number one, they have well exposed stamens. उनकी जो stamens होते हैं, जो anther होते हैं of the flower, they are open, they are exposed in the outer environment. वो ऐसे खुले होते हैं, so that wind can carry the pollen grains from anthers of these flowers. Second, they have large and often feathery stigma. The flowers, they have large and often feathery stigma. Feathery stigma. उनके जो stigma होते हैं, जो flowers के, they are very large. They are very large in size and they are feathery. मतलब feather की तरह होते हैं. ऐसा क्यों? क्योंकि these feathery stigmas, they are open in the wind, जिससे कि they can catch pollen grains from the wind very easily. Next property is that these flowers, they have single ovule in each ovary. In flowers में there is usually just one ovule in each ovary. उसके बाद in these plants, in many wind pollinated plants, different flowers, they are collected like a single unit. बहुत सारे flowers एक साथ आ जाते हैं, and this is known as inflorescence. So this is another property of the flowers of the wind pollinated flowers. एक example is a very important example is the corn cob. जो भुट्टा we commonly eat is the corn. तो इस plant में in the corn cob there are tassels. And these tassels, they are nothing but the stigma and style, जो कि wind में they are waving freely. They are waving freely to do what? To trap pollen grains. Another example is grasses. Some more important features of these flowers are कि ये जो flowers होते हैं, they are devoid of color. मतलब कि they are usually not very colorful. Next is कि they are devoid of scent. मतलब कि usually जो आप flowers देखते हैं, जैसे कि rose, they have a very good smell or scent. But in flowers में there is no scent or there is no smell. अब ऐसा क्यों है? We will know this further. जब हम other types of pollination देखेंगे, तब we will know why there is no color or there is no scent in these types of flowers. The next abiotic agent is water. इसको जाने से पहले let's do something interesting. As already we are scientists today, now we will also become a scuba diver. इससे कि हम देखेंगे pollination कैसे होती है in the water. Water is actually a very special entity. We drink water every day. We use water for different purposes. But water has a very big role in nature. So let's see what are the different types of pollination in water. There are majorly three types of pollination जो कि water में होता है. Firstly, underwater. पानी के अंदर. Then, which happens on the surface of water. वाटर मतलब कि कोई भी ओशन है या कोई भी सी है या कोई भी वाटर बॉडी है, उसके लेवल पे जो पॉलिनेशन होगा दैट विल बी सरफेस ऑफ वाटर एंड देन अबव वाटर। मतलब वाटर का कोई रोल नहीं है, इट विल हैपन अबव द वाटर सरफेस। वाटर पॉलिनेशन इज नॉट कॉमन, इट इज एक्चुअली रेयर। इट इज लिमिटेड टू अबाउट 30 genera, मोस्टली मोनोकॉटिलेडन्स। वाटर इज अ वेरी एसेंशियल एंटिटी क्योंकि यहीं पे द ट्रांसफर ऑफ मेल गैमेट्स इट हैपेंस इन लोअर प्लांट ग्रुप्स जैसे कि algae, pteridophytes, bryophytes. So water pollination is kind of limited as compared to wind pollination or the next pollination जो कि हम देखेंगे। अब सबसे पहले समझते हैं कि underwater pollination। इसको हम we can understand with the example of a plant which is sea grasses। मतलब जो water body होगी it will be found एकदम deep, एकदम अंदर, deep beneath the water body। अब इसमें जो pollination होगी उसके लिए the pollen grains, the flowers, they have special characteristics or features जिससे कि pollination is successful। So let's imagine कि अब हम जो scuba diver हैं and we are deep inside the water and we see these sea grasses all over। इसमें some special characteristics are कि the female flowers they remain submerged inside the water, मतलब कि वो water body है उसके अंदर, उसके deep अंदर present होती है। Then the pollen grains they are released inside the water। The pollen grains released in the water, मतलब water body के अंदर ही the pollen grains will be released from the male flower। अब ये जो plants होते हैं usually the pollen grains are long in shape, they are long in shape, then they are ribbon like in shape, मतलब कि उनका जो शेप होता है it is ribbon like in wavy form। वो long है, it is ribbon like so that they can float in the water and reach the stigma of another flower। and अब ये जो pollen grains होते हैं इन plants के they are actually protected by a covering जिससे कि वो wet ना हो, वो गीले ना हो and destroy ना हो सके। so there is a covering which is the mucilaginous covering which these pollen grains have। अब आप स्विम करके थोड़ा थोड़ा ऊपर आ जाओ ऑन द सरफेस ऑफ द वाटर। अब वहां पे क्या होगा लेट्स सी। अब हम फ्रॉम द अंडर वाटर थोड़ा ऊपर आते हैं टू द सरफेस ऑफ द वाटर। सो दिस इज द सरफेस ऑफ द वाटर। नाउ वी विल सी दैट हाउ पॉलिनेशन इट अकर्स ऑन द सरफेस ऑफ द वाटर। इसको हम समझेंगे विद एन एग्जांपल। द प्लांट इज कॉल्ड एज Vallisneria। अब ये जो Vallisneria plant है, it is usually present under the water। यहाँ पे let's take two plants। This is the male plant and this is the female plant। So the female plant it has the flower, and the male flowers they are usually smaller in size। क्योंकि यहाँ पे ऐसे they are present। What happens is ये जो female flower है from the plant it moves and it arises to the surface of the water। कैसे? थ्रू अ स्टॉक लाइक स्ट्रक्चर। ऐसे स्टॉक लाइक स्ट्रक्चर जो कि इस प्लांट से ही राइज होता है। तो ये फ्लावर जो यहाँ था इट विल मूव अपवर्ड्स एंड कम टू द सरफेस ऑफ द प्लांट। अब जो नेक्स्ट स्टेप इज जो मेल फ्लावर्स है दे विल आल्सो कम अप टू द सरफेस ऑफ द वाटर। यहाँ पे दे विल बी फाउंड ऐसे। These are male flowers जो कि they will come to the surface of the water। तो फीमेल फ्लावर है उसके पास। नेक्स्ट व्हाट विल हैपन इज यहाँ से जो पोलन ग्रेन्स है, जो मेल फ्लावर के जो पोलन ग्रेन्स है they will be released in the water जो कि सरफेस पे and then they will land on the stigma of the female flower। So this is how the pollination it happens on the surface of water। There is a thing that comes to my mind कि ये जो पोलन ग्रेन्स है जब ये रिलीज हुए on the surface of the water they float and then they land on the stigma। तो ये जो pollen grains है why are they floating, why are they not drowning? मतलब अगर रिलीज हुए इन फ्लावर्स से तो वो नीचे डूब जाने चाहिए, but why are they floating on the water? What could be the reason? The reason is that the pollen grains की जो specific gravity है it is same as that of the water। क्या बोला तूने? Specific gravity is the ratio that tells us that how heavy a substance is as compared to water। तो इसी की वजह से जो pollen grains हैं they are floating on the surface of the water and not drowning in under the water। इसके कुछ key features are कि सबसे पहला that the female flowers of these plants they emerge on the surface of the water by a long stalk like structure जो कि हमने अभी देखा। Then second point is that the pollen grains in these plants, they are released onto the surface of the water. जिसके बाद they land on the stigma and then pollination it takes place. Now the third type of water pollination, which happens above water. Flowers जैसे कि water lily, hyacinth, हायसिंथ, इन फ्लावर्स में जो पॉलिनेशन होता है वो इनसे डिफरेंट होता है. व्हाट हैपेंस इज, दिस इज द सरफेस ऑफ द वाटर. सो जो फ्लावर होगा दैट विल बी, फॉर एग्जांपल इफ दिस इज अ फ्लावर, तो वो फ्लावर होगा ऑन द सरफेस ऑफ द वाटर. अब जो पॉलिनेशन होगा इट विल नॉट हैपन अंडर द वाटर और ऑन द सरफेस ऑफ वाटर, ये होगा अबव द वाटर, मतलब कि खुले में, इन द ओपन एटमॉस्फेयर. सो द पॉलिनेशन कुड हैपन बाय विंड और by insects. Wind pollination हो सकता है जैसे कि pollen grains will land here on the stigma of the flower and then pollination will take place. या फिर certain insects, different type of insects, they can come and they can carry the pollen from one flower to another. So this is how pollination happens above the water surface. Next अपन देखेंगे that what are the biotic agents of pollination. Biotic means living, so there would be some living organisms which will be involved in the process of pollination. Now think carefully. अब जो pollination होगा, it will be through a living organism. कोई भी flower हो, considering its size, a flower is usually small in size. So what could be the type of organism जिससे कि pollination takes place? It has to be small. It has to be lightweight. जिससे कि it can carry pollen grains from one flower to another flower. So these organisms which carry out pollination are insects. These are majorly insects. Insects जैसे कि bees, butterflies, beetles, wasps, ants, moths, birds, and bats. These are the common pollinating agents. अब ये जो insects है, इसमें the bees are one of the most important agents of pollination. ऐसा कहा जाता है जो bees है, if they decrease in number, the pollination will be heavily affected. So bees are very important in pollination. Even larger animals, जैसे कि some primates, such as lemurs, arboreal rodents, which are usually tree dwelling, or even reptiles, जैसे कि lizards, they have also been reported as pollinators in some species. Before knowing more about this type of pollination, हमको ये पता होना चाहिए that what is the basic mechanism जिससे कि the biotic pollinators they pollinate, they carry out pollination. So let's see the mechanism. यहाँ पे there are two flowers, flower A and flower B. Let's take any insect. यहाँ पे this is a honey bee. अब ये जो bee है, it flies and it lands on plant A वाला flower. Plant A वाला flower इसके anther पे. क्यों it lands? ये we will know further. उसके बाद when it has done what it needs to do, जैसे कि we will see further कि it comes to drink nectar. उसके बाद जब nectar पी लिया, उसके बाद this honey bee goes to another flower, जैसे कि plant B. उसके बाद क्या होगा? This honey bee, ये जो honey bee है, it comes and it lands here. When it had landed on the flower A, तो क्या होगा, इसकी बॉडी पे जब इसने लैंड किया होगा तो एंथर पे जितने भी पोलन ग्रेन्स होंगे वो इस हनी बी के बॉडी पे स्टिक हो जाएंगे. उसके बाद जब वो दूसरे फ्लावर पे जाएगा, फ्रॉम ए टू बी, बी वाले फ्लावर पे जाएगा, ये वाले जो पोलन ग्रेन्स है दे विल शेड ऑफ टू दिस फ्लावर. तो कुछ पोलन ग्रेन्स यहाँ स्टिग्मा पे भी आ जाएंगे. जैसे स्टिग्मा पे आएंगे देन देयर विल बी पॉलिनेशन. So this is the basic mechanism how cross pollination takes place through biotic agents. So this was the mechanism जिससे कि pollination through biotic agents take place. अब let us see कि जो flowers हैं, what are the features of these flowers? These flowers are usually large in size. They are big in size. Then next feature is that they are colorful. वो different types के colors के होते हैं. If the size of the flowers is small, तो what happens is कि बहुत सारे छोटे छोटे flowers they come together and become a group. And इसी group को, इसी cluster को it is known as the inflorescence, जो कि I told you earlier also. Inflorescence when there are small flowers, small size flowers. अब think of a situation कि जैसे बहुत गर्मी हो रही है, अब आपका पीटी पीरियड है, तो उसमें यू हैव बीन टोल्ड टू जॉग और रन अराउंड द होल ग्राउंड 3 से 4 बार. अब ऑब्वियस सी बात है, इतनी गर्मी में यू विल नॉट फील लाइक रनिंग और इवन जॉगिंग. बट व्हाट विल हैपन अगर कि ग्राउंड के बीच में इफ देयर एट सम पॉइंट देयर इज समवन जो कि आपको बिल्कुल ठंडा चिल्ड ग्लूकॉन डी ऑफर करे बीच में एट सम पॉइंट्स, तो यू विल लाइक इट, यू विल रन, यू विल जॉग, क्योंकि बीच बीच में यू विल बी एबल टू गेट दैट कूल ग्लूकॉन डी, दैट कूल रिफ्रेशिंग ड्रिंक, जिससे कि यू विल फील रिफ्रेश्ड, you will feel energized, and eventually you will feel good. वैसे ही same happens in plants also. What happens कि जब भी कोई insect आता है, the flower का जो main goal है, जो main purpose है या aim है, that is to attract insects, जिससे कि they come and they carry the pollen grains to another flower. What they do is they provide some special rewards, जिससे कि insects वो बार बार आते रहें and pollination होती रहे. अब ये rewards हैं क्या? These rewards are nectar and pollen grain also. ये जो nectar है, it is a liquid like substance. It is a liquid like substance. It is usually made up of carbohydrates or natural sugar. Produce होती है flowers में. So when insects come on any flower, what they are getting is this cool refreshing drink. This is known as the nectar. अब पीने को तो हो गया. If you get खाने को भी साथ साथ, पीने को भी मिला, अब खाने को भी if you get, तो you will be very happy. उसी तरीके से when many insects, what they do is they eat pollen grains. Now you will ask that अगर वो pollen grains खा लेते हैं, तो how do they carry the pollen grains to the other flower? What happens is कि वो जो insects है वो खा रहे हैं some of the pollen grains, but उनकी bodies में the other pollen grains they are getting attached, and when they land to another flower, वो जो bodies में attached है pollen flowers, they are landing on the other flower and pollination happens. So these two are the floral rewards. These are the floral rewards which is provided by the flowers insects को. तो एक drink भी हो गया और कुछ खाने को भी हो गया. So why won't the insects come to the flower back to back? So that क्योंकि उनको nectar भी मिल रहा है और pollen भी. So this is a very important thing कि जिससे कि they carry out cross pollination. अब in some flowers जरूरी नहीं है कि it will be nectar or pollen grains. In some flowers what happens is there are other rewards. जैसे कि there is a flower called Amorphophallus. It is a very big flower. It is approximately 6 feet in height. What happens is that a particular type of insect, it comes and it lays eggs on these flowers. So insect का इससे फायदा क्या हुआ? The insect it gets a safe place, जिससे कि जिसपे it can lay its eggs and the eggs they remain safe. And plant का क्या फायदा हुआ? Plant का वही फायदा हुआ that insect comes and pollination. Insect comes and pollination happens. Another plant is which is known as yucca plant. This plant में there are certain types of moths which are known as yucca moths. This plant and the moth they are intertwined with each other. मतलब कि उन दोनों की life cycle है, it won't complete जब तक ना they both are involved in each other's life. यहाँ पे what happens is the moth it lays its eggs in the locule of the ovary and the flower of this plant. In turn, it gets pollinated by the moth. Then the larvae of the moth it comes out of the eggs as the seeds of the plant it starts developing. So you see दोनों का ही फायदा हुआ, moth का भी और plant का भी. There are some flowers which are pollinated by beetles and flies. What happens is they give a particular type of odor या फिर you can say smell. Flowers की different types of smell होती है. Usually हमने उन flowers को देखा है जिनकी smell अच्छी होती है. But there are flowers जिनमें की the smell is very bad. For example, there is a plant known as Rafflesia. उस plant में इतनी गंदी बदबू आती है. It is like dead flesh, dead meat. Similarly, in flowers में भी जो beetles and flies से pollinated होते हैं, they also give a foul odor, a bad smell. जिससे कि the beetles and the flies they get attracted and they come to the plant. जिससे कि pollination happens. Now there is a thing which you should think. I said कि there are good smell and bad smell given by different types of flowers. अब ये good and bad है क्या? हमको अच्छी लगती है कुछ smells of flowers, so we call it good. और कुछ smell हम flowers की हमको अच्छी नहीं लगती, so we call it bad. तो we have defined अपने हिसाब से we have defined कि this is good smell, this is bad smell. But for the insects, it is not necessary. अब ये जो foul smell आती है, we have defined कि this is a foul smell. Insects को नहीं लगती it is foul or it is a bad smell. They must think कि this is a very good smell. इसी की वजह से they go to those flowers. Similarly, take the example of rose. Rose is a very good flower, or you can take jasmine, जिसकी smell बहुत अच्छी होती है. हमको बहुत अच्छी लगती है, humans को अच्छी लगती है. But there are many insects जिनको उनकी smell पसंद ही नहीं है. The smell of any flower, you can say it is a relative term. So take a moment and think about this. इसके बारे में I just said. So this was how biotic agents they carry out pollination in different flowers. अगर आपको कहीं भी डाउट हो, आप कमेंट में पूछो, एंड आई विल एम्फसाइज दिस दैट यू नीड टू आस्क क्वेश्चंस. थिंक अबाउट व्हाट यू स्टडी, नॉट जस्ट कि पढ़ा, नोट्स बनाए एंड याद किया एंड हो गया. नहीं, थिंक अबाउट देम, डिस्कस अबाउट देम, बी क्रिएटिव. मेरा मिशन सिर्फ एक है कि आप स्टडीज को, बायोलॉजी को एंजॉय करो, उससे डरो नहीं. एंड बायोलॉजी should give you happiness. And आप लोग, you become the future scientists. This is all for now. I will meet you in the next video. Until then,